Please enjoy the video, subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Thank you for watching.
Someone once said that a journey begins with the first step. For motorcyclists, the journey begins with the push of the start button. This trip would take me from Texas to Louisiana to the Vietnam Memorial Rolling Thunder event in Washington, D.C. This would be my fourth ride to the Rolling Thunder event. The first two were from Pennsylvania with my riding friends who I worked with there, and the third was my longest solo run from Louisiana to Pennsylvania and then down to Washington, D.C. for a total of 3,122 miles. This trip, however, would be a special one because it would reunite me with 4 close friends that I rode with in Louisiana. Since I made my last solo ride to Washington, D.C., they kept saying they wanted to go with me on the next ride. Since my last trip, I transferred to Texas, Rich went to South Dakota, TJ was in Virginia, Ernie remained in Louisiana, and Cindy was working near Washington, D.C. We all kept in contact and planned and prepared for the ride in May on Memorial Day weekend. This would be the first time for them to attend Rolling Thunder and see the Vietnam Memorial. Ernie, Rich, TJ, and I were all veterans, which made it even more special for us. I was riding my Kawasaki 1500 Drifter, and this was my second cross-country trip. I was very confident in her ability to deliver me there and back home without any incident. I left early to beat the Dallas-Fort Worth traffic and headed to Ernie's place. The plan was that I would pick him up in Louisiana and head north. Rich was riding from South Dakota to TJ's place in Roanoke, Virginia, and we would all meet there together before cruising to D.C. to meet Cindy and her husband Ed. As I hit I-49 south to Pineville, Louisiana, I began to think about the trip ahead of us. We were on our own with basically no time constraints for 2 weeks. Ernie and I did plan to ride the Dragon's Tail in Deals Gap, North Carolina, because neither of us had been there. I soon arrived at my destination and Ernie had a place in the garage for my bike. His wife Roberta had a glass of iced tea for me and the pizza was ordered. The next day we would start our journey together. My wife and I always considered Ernie and Roberta as part of our family. Ernie was actually the one who gave me the name RobDawg because I always had his back when we were riding together. The next morning we fired up our bikes and headed down through the Catahoula National Wildlife Refuge and the Natchez Trace Parkway into Mississippi. We made our way to Alabama and decided to stop for the night. It was a long day, but a good day. We started out the next morning, so we had ample time to find Route 129 and ride the Dragon. Traveling northeast on I-59, we wanted to stop at Fort Payne, Alabama. Fort Payne was once known as Willstown for the Indian chief Red-Haired Will Weber. However, in 1830s, members of the Cherokee Nation were rounded up, placed in stockades built there, and forced to relocate to Oklahoma. This infamous journey, known as the Trail of Tears, was led by Cherokee leader John Benge. Over 1,100 Cherokees endured the 730-mile trip, in which it was estimated that 1 in 7 perished along the way. We stopped at Fort Payne, and a local merchant told us that the original fort was gone and the old Native American burial site had been relocated. Another piece of Native American history has been lost forever. Alabama was now in our rearview mirror as we entered the northwest corner of Georgia for a short time until we hit the Tennessee border, heading for the Dragon's Tail. At Route 129, we stopped for a break at the local store. The young lady informed us to just stay on Route 129, and as soon as we passed the lake, we were on the Dragon's Tail. We fired up the bikes and prepared for the 318 curves in 11 miles. Well, I can tell you we both had a great time besides the local beer truck coming from around the corner wide into our lane. I was just glad the driver wasn't sampling his own product and corrected his mistake. We arrived at Deal's Gap, bought t-shirts and patches, and soon discovered there was only one way out, and that was back the way we came. So I can honestly say that we survived 636 curves and 22 miles. Too bad they didn't have a t-shirt for that trip. We stopped for the night near Dandridge, Tennessee, and it was a great day of riding and the weather was beautiful. We knew tomorrow that we would be meeting Rich and TJ in Roanoke, Virginia, and we were looking forward to seeing our good friends again. Our wake-up call the next morning was the crack of lightning outside our window. Ernie and I parked our bikes under the cover of the hotel the night before, anticipating the chance of bad weather. We were very lucky throughout our trip and had only received a light rain the day before. 2 hours later, it was 7 a.m. and our planned departure time from the hotel. We walked outside, looked at the sky, and wondered if the storm 2 hours earlier was just our imagination. The sky was clear, the roads were dry, and we were ready to ride. We headed to Bristol, Tennessee, where we would fill up our tanks and head over to the border into Virginia. The weather was perfect, and we made our way through the mountains. This is what makes riding a motorcycle an experience that cannot be understood by non-riders. It's that closeness that you have with the environment as you take in the true magnificence of the world around you. We crossed over the border into Virginia and continued to enjoy the scenery and openness of the country. It seemed all too soon that our relaxed and quiet ride was becoming more congested as we made our way into Roanoke, Virginia. We made it to TJ's house for some good company and a good night's sleep before heading to Washington, D.C. the next day. Rich had arrived from South Dakota a few nights before us, and we were all looking forward to riding together again. We were almost to our destination. We packed our bikes early the next morning and headed down the road. We were in no hurry to get to D.C., so we headed to the Blue Ridge Parkway through the southern end of the Jefferson National Forest. I had always thought that Alabama and Tennessee were impressive when it came to scenery, but I've got to say that this was something I had never experienced. In some places of the road, the shaded trees on each side had grown together, forming a natural tunnel for us to ride through. We passed through places called the Great Valley Overlook, Purgatory Overlook, Peaks of the Otter, Yankee Horse Ridge, and Humpback Rocks. The speed limit on the parkway is only 45 miles per hour, which made the trip even more enjoyable. It seems that we're always in a hurry to get somewhere, so it was nice to just relax and remind ourselves how small we really are in comparison to our surroundings. Again, all too soon, it was time to exit the northern end of the parkway as we made our way to the hotel in Arlington, Virginia. We stopped one more time for fuel and food in a small town called Marshall, Virginia. We pulled into a place called Marshall's Diner and had some excellent food. It was so good that Ernie and I hit it again for breakfast on our way out of D.C. The traffic began increasing and motorcycles could be seen in every direction. It was estimated that over 300,000 motorcycles attended Rolling Thunder that year. The next morning we left the hotel and headed for the Pentagon parking lot, where some of the riders would be gathering for the parade through downtown Washington, D.C. We decided to take part in the parade, although many forego the wait between parking their bikes and takeoff time. The parade would take us a total of 7 miles to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We arrived at the parking area on Sunday at 7 a.m. Takeoff time for the parade was 12 noon, so we had a lot of time to walk around, check out the bikes, and take some pictures. It was hot that day with no rain in the forecast. We grabbed some shade by the main road leading to our parking lot and watched the bikes pour into the area. Hours later, they were still rolling in both directions. We watched an extremely large parking area become packed with all different makes and models of bikes coming in from all over the country. At 12 o'clock noon, the engines could be heard as the first bikes fired up. This is why they call it Rolling Thunder. At that point, we left our shaded area and began making our way through the mass of humanity and machines. We were not in a hurry to get to our bikes because I already knew that it would be a while before we would even start up and begin to move. The first bikes for the parade started at 12 noon and we started up at 12:50. I was glad we got there early and had a good position. Sometimes it could take 4 to 6 hours to get out of the parking area if you don't arrive early. I told everyone to watch each other and stay together in the parade. If you lose track of your group, it could be hours before you see each other again. We all had cell phones and numbers programmed just in case something happened. We started to move and made our way downtown. I knew that the parade was well worth the wait. There were thousands of people lined up on both sides of the street to see the bikes and support the riders. Young kids, adults, and veterans were on the road giving riders high fives as they slowly passed their location. American flags could be seen everywhere, and it made us proud to be there. The event had always been about veterans rights, and the support of our armed forces and individual soldiers. It is about recognizing the sacrifices of veterans during every war and our active duty soldiers that proudly serve this country in every capacity today. The parade ended at the Northern Mall and we made our way to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We moved through the thousands of people on hand in the area because we were going to meet Cindy and Ed. I called her and said that we would meet her at the statue by the memorial. I arrived at the statue and called her again. She was there and I was there, but we couldn't find each other through the crowds. Eventually, we all met up and spent the rest of the day taking in the sights together. The main stage at the event was set up across from the Lincoln Memorial, which featured key speakers about veterans issues and some excellent live music. We made our way back to our bikes that were parked somewhere in Washington, D.C. We knew our bikes were parked in a field and was near a tree. Guess we should have paid more attention to where we left them. We finally found the bikes and headed back for the hotel before heading out in the morning and going our separate ways. Ernie and I would be going south, TJ back to Virginia, and Rich would be heading back to South Dakota. It was great seeing my good friends again, and we continued seeing each other every year after that during our motorcycle reunions. We all made it home safely, and after 2,957 miles on my drifter, I pulled her into the garage and thanked her for the trip. Sometimes you ask yourself, what makes a ride something to remember? Is it the journey, the people you meet on the way, or the destination? This trip was a combination of all of these elements and were all equal in value. We rode through some of the most scenic and leisurely routes that I had ever ridden. We met some new friends that shared their personal stories about their experiences in the military and why they attend this event every year. I discovered that motorcycle friends scattered throughout the country could get together for a ride that we will always remember. We rode our bikes through the nation's capital to support this event and discovered that hundreds of thousands of people waving American flags felt the same way as we did that day. The pride that all veterans feel for serving their country could be seen on the faces at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. The fact that there are still people out there that appreciate that sacrifice cannot be taken away. This was a time in our history when our country was torn apart by opinions, protests, and people turning away from the soldiers that fought and died in this war. This was our generation's war, and there are names on the black wall to remind us of this fact. We will never forget.